Next, we're going to tackle about the peripheral nervous system. And under peripheral nervous system, we're going to tackle about the structure of a nerve, cranial nerve, spinal nerve, and nerve plexuses. We need to be familiarized with these terms para mas madali natin maintindihan. Endoneurial fluid, a low-protein liquid na nakalocate sa ating peripheral nervous system. Siya ay equivalent ng ating cerebrospinal fluid sa ating brain, kung saan yung cerebrospinal fluid na alam naman natin ay pinoprotect niya ang ating brain sa ating injury. So, parang pareho lang sila ng endoneurial fluid. Next is perineurium, a protective sheet covering nerve fascicles. Siya yung nagko-cover sa mga fascicles. Later, I'm going to show you the picture. So next is the endoneurium, a layer of connective tissue that surrounds axons, or what we call the fibers. Next is yung fascicles, a small bundle of nerve fibers enclosed by the perineurium. Next is the epineurium, the outermost layer of dense, irregular connective tissue surrounding a peripheral nerve. So first, let's tackle about the structure of a nerve. Ano nga ba yung nerve? Nerve is the primary structure of the peripheral nervous system and is composed of bundles of axons or what we call the fibers. Yung nerve, siya ang nagpo-provide ng pathway na nagsusuporta sa pag-function ng ating neuron. So, ang nerve ay nagko-consist siya ng many structures including the axons, glycocalyx, endoneural fluid, endoneurium, and perineurium, and epineurium. So, yung axons are bundled together into groups called fascicles, and each fascicle is wrapped in a layer of connective tissue called the perineurium. So, here is the picture. So, each nerve contains many axons that are sometimes referred to as fibers. So, ito yung axon. Kino-cover siya ng myelin sheet. Within a nerve, each axon is surrounded by a layer of connective tissue called the endoneurium. So, here is the endoneurium. Kino-cover niya yung axon. So, the axons are bundled together into group called fascicles. So, yung mga endoneurium na yan, na kino-cover niya yung axon, yung bundle na yan is natawag na fascicles. So, each fascicle is wrapped in a layer of connective tissue called the perineurium. So, here is the perineurium. Yung nagko-cover sa bundle ng mga axons, yung fascicle. Yan yung perineurium. Finally, the entire nerve is wrapped in a layer of connective tissue called the epineurium. Here is the epineurium. So, every bundle ng fascicle, lahat ng fascicle na yun, kino-cover siya ng epineurium. So, next, yung endoneurium daw ay kinukonsist siya ng inner sleeve of material called the glycocalyx and a mesh of collagen. Nerves are bundled along with blood vessels which provide essential nutrients and energy to the enclosed and metabolically demanding neurons. So, dun sa loob ng endoneurium, bawat nerve ng fiber ay sinusurround ng liquid na tinatawag nating endoneurial fluid. Tulad nga ng sinabi ko kanina na ito ay katumbas or parang halimbawa ng cerebrospinal fluid sa ating brain, which is yung pinoprotect ng cerebrospinal ay ang ating brain sa mga injury, at yung endoneurium naman is pinoprotect niya ang ating axon sa mga injury. So next is the cranial nerve. Your cranial nerves are pairs of nerves that connect your brain to different parts of your head, neck, and trunk. So, meron po itong 12 na types, each named for their function or structure. Each nerve also has corresponding Each nerve also has a corresponding Roman numeral between 1 to 12. So ito daw ay nakabase sa kanilang location sa harap at likod. For example, yung olfactory nerve ay malapit sa iyong front ng iyong head, so it is designated as 1. Their functions are usually categorized as being either sensory or motor. So, yung sensory nerves are involved with your senses such as smell, hearing, and touch. Kapag sinasabi nating sensory nerves, isipin lang natin yung word na afferent, which is ito ay nanggagaling sa ating labas or senses. Mula sa senses at aakyat siya papunta ng ating brain at ipaprocess. At kapag sinabi namang motor nerves, ito ay simula sa ating brain and papunta sa ating body, palabas. Ito yung word na efferent. So first is the olfactory nerve. The olfactory nerve transmits sensory information to your brain regarding smells that you encounter. So, olfactories, ito ay tungkol sa ating nose. Kung ano yung mga na-smell natin, ito ay dadalhin ng ating sensory information sa ating brain. Number 2 is the optic nerve. The optic nerve is the sensory nerve that involves vision. So, syempre optic, it is all about our vision. Is the oculomotor nerve. The oculomotor nerve has two different motor functions: muscle function and pupil response. So, yung muscle function, your oculomotor nerve provides motor function to 4 of the 6 muscles around your eyes. These muscles help your eyes move and focus on subjects. These muscles help your eyes move and focus on subjects. Pupil response, it also helps to control the size of your pupil as it responds to light. So, number 4 is yung trochlear nerve. Yung trochlear nerve naman is kinokontrol niya yung superior oblique muscle. This is the muscle that responsible for downward, outward, and inward eye movements. Number 5 is the trigeminal nerve. The trigeminal nerve is the largest of your cranial nerves and has both sensory and motor functions. The trigeminal nerve has 3 divisions, which are: first is the ophthalmic, next is the maxillary, and the third one is the mandibular. So, yung ophthalmic division, siya yung sisend niya ng sensory information sa upper part ng ating face. Included dito yung forehead, yung scalp, and yung ating upper eyelids. Sa maxillary naman, yung itong division, nagko-communicate siya sa ating sensory information mula sa ating middle part, including yung face natin, sa ating cheeks, upper lip, and nasal cavity. Yung mandibular naman, meron siyang sensory and motor functions. It sends sensory information mula sa ating tenga, sa lower lip, at sa ating chin. It also controls the movement of muscles within your jaw and ear. Number 6, abducens nerve. The abducens nerve controls another muscle that's associated with eye movement, called the lateral rectus muscle. So, itong muscle na to, yung lateral rectus, ay involved siya sa outward eye movement. Halimbawa, titingin ka sa iyong right or left side. 7 naman is yung facial nerve. Activates muscles of facial expression, lacrimal and salivary glands. Also carries information from the taste buds of anterior tongue. Next is number 8 is what we call the vestibulocochlear nerve. So, yung vestibular branch, siya yung nagtatransmit ng mga informations tungkol sa ating sense of balance. Yung cochlear branch naman, siya yung nagtatransmit ng informations sa sense of hearing natin. Number 9, glossopharyngeal nerve. Sending sensory information from your sinuses, the back of your throat, parts of your inner ear, and the back part of your tongue, providing a sense of taste for the back part of your tongue. So, itong glossopharyngeal nerve, siya ay nagsisend ng sensory information sa ating sinuses, sa likod ng ating throat, at yung ibang parts sa ating tenga, at sa likod ng ating tongue. So, next is, number 10 is what we call the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve carries sensory and motor information to the throat, voice box, and abdominal or thoracic viscera. 11 is what we call the accessory nerve. Yung accessory nerve natin ay kinokontrol yung muscles sa ating neck at yung mga muscles para i-allow tayo na i-rotate, flex, and extend yung ating neck at ang ating shoulders. Number 12, the last one is the hypoglossal nerve. The hypoglossal nerve is the 12th cranial nerve which is responsible for the movement of most of the muscles in your tongue. So, ito daw ay nagsisimula sa medulla oblongata and moves down into the jaw where it reaches the tongue. So now let's go to spinal nerve and nerve plexuses. So what is the spinal nerve? Spinal nerves are a part of the peripheral nervous system, or the PNS, are mixed nerves that send motor, sensory, and autonomic signals between the CNS and the body. So, sabi dito na ang humans daw ay merong 31 left and right pairs of spinal nerves, each roughly corresponding to a segment of vertebral column. Is yung 8 cervical spinal nerve pairs. Ito ay tinatawag mula sa C1 hanggang C8. Next is the thoracic pairs, which is what we called from T1 to T12. Next is the 5 lumbar pairs, tinatawag nating L1 to L5. And next one is the 5 sacral pairs, tinatawag na S1 to S5. And the last one is the coccygeal pair. So first is the cervical nerves. Dito siya banda. The posterior distribution of the cervical nerves includes the suboccipital nerve or the C1, the greater occipital nerve C2, and the third occipital nerve C3. The anterior distribution includes the cervical plexus from C1 to C4 and brachial plexus from C5 to T1. So next is the thoracic nerves. Dito siya nakalocate. Thoracic nerve branches exit the spine and go directly to the paravertebral ganglia of the autonomic nervous system, where they are involved in the functions of organs and glands in the head, neck, thorax, and abdomen. So next is the lumbar nerves. Dito siya nakalocate. So the lumbar nerves are divided into posterior and anterior divisions. So next is the sacral, itong pinakababa. Sacral nerves, there are 5 pairs of sacral nerves, half of them arising through the sacrum on the left side and the other half on the right side. Each nerve emerges in 2 divisions. One division through the anterior sacral foramina and the other division through the posterior sacral foramina. So last one is the coccygeal nerve. The coccygeal nerve is the 31st pair of spinal nerves and arises from conus medullaris. Its anterior root helps form the coccygeal plexus. So next is yung spinal nerves natin ay magdi-divide siya after leaving the spinal cord. And it will be divided into two, and what we call the dorsal rami and the ventral rami. The dorsal rami serve the skin and muscles of the posterior trunk. Yung ventral rami naman is a form of complex networks or plexus for the anterior. So next is yung nerve plexuses. Throughout the body tend to be named after the area in which the plexus occurs and the organs, limbs, and tissues it serves. Examples include the cervical, brachial, lumbar, and sacral, celiac, and coccygeal plexuses. So, merong tinatawag na 5 spinal nerve plexuses, except sa ating thoracic region. Ang 5 na yun ay yung cervical plexus, brachial plexus, lumbar plexus, sacral plexus, and the coccygeal plexus. First is the cervical plexus. Serves the head, neck, and shoulders. So, yung cervical plexus natin ay na-form siya mula sa ventral rami of the upper 4 cervical nerves and the upper part of 5th cervical ventral ramus. The network of rami is located deep within the neck. So next is the brachial plexus. Serves the chest, shoulders, arms, and hands. So yung brachial plexus ay napo-form siya ng ventral rami simula ng C5 hanggang C8 at saka ng T1 spinal nerves and lower upper halves of the C4 and T2 spinal nerves. The plexus extends toward the armpit or axilla. Next is the lumbar plexus, serves the back, abdomen, groin, thighs, knees, and calves. So ito naman ay nabubuo sa ventral rami of L1 hanggang L5 ng spinal nerves with the contribution ng T12 form the lumbar plexus. So this plexus lies within the psoas major muscle. Yung pang-apat is tinatawag na sacral plexus, serves the pelvis, buttocks, genitals, thighs, calves, and feet. Yung sacral plexus naman ay nabubuo ng ventral rami simula L4 hanggang S3 with parts of the L4 and S4 spinal nerves. Ito ay nakalocate sa posterior wall of the pelvic cavity. And the last one is what we call the coccygeal plexus, serves a small region over the coccyx. Ito ay nagsisimula mula sa S4, S5, and CO1 spinal nerves. At ito ay nag-interconnect sa lower part ng ating sacral plexus.
Before we end this video, I would like to request you to hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you for watching.